is just an extension of that kind of thinking, you know, that it's like, here's the direction the society is moving in. What are the things that require to be innovated upon? And so your question of like who we like to have around and Network State Connect is like, as long as you understand that, I think what follows is that you want to do something about it, that you want to adapt into that. You don't want to be subject to the whims of the failing institutions, right? Where, you know, inflation, for example, is a result of US debt and US wasteful spending, let's say. So it's like we're in so much debt that the only way out is ultimately inflation in the long term. And if you don't understand that and you don't have a map for that, you're a victim of that kind of a thing. And that's not a good, empowering place to be, where affordability is slipping through your fingers all the time. But that's a lot of people because they don't have that model. And so we like to be around people who understand that. And then once they understand that we can make forecasts into the direction that things are going, broadly speaking, that we want to do something about it. And we want to be in a position to help build what comes next. In the best case, the very best case, it's the builders who want to be part of building what's coming next. Also, just being a participant, just seeing it, just having vibes and wanting to be present for it and give a few resources here and there, like that's also very, very helpful. But I would say that's kind of the minimum requirement right now for me. As long as you have that vision and you have some eagerness, then we're excited to be around you.
Yeah. Have you participated in ETH Denver or in other events that are like, let's say, pop-up cities and or conferences out of the US? Any experience in that, if you'd like to share? And what was like the network school last year?
No, I didn't go to network school, although I think I'm going to apply for this year for like the fall. So that would be really exciting. Some of my 1729 friends are there and had a great time last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I live next to ETH Denver. I've been to ETH Denver. I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. That's me coming out to, you know, so I think ETH is fine. We use ETH in Network State Connect as NFTs. Like we use NFTs and sort of like proof of, I forget what we call it, but credentials, crypto credentials, basically. Like if you take a course, and we'll give some to the writers cohorts actually and stuff like that.
Nice.
And so I use it as a tool. I think it's cool, but I think it's a little overblown in terms of its the world computer and all of that. And so I don't go to ETH Denver as a super excited participant. However, we did do a cool Network State meetup last year alongside it, and a bunch of people came. I interviewed, I led a panel, he's moderated a panel with Dryden Brown from Praxis and John Hillis from Cabin, and a woman from CDAO, which is an extremely cool Chinese DAO. And so we had a great time at that, just like little side event.
Nice, very well. What's that CDAO?
SEE DAO. Yeah, their website is excellent. Yeah, it was a Chinese diaspora DAO. A bunch of people left China during COVID because it was so crazy, the lockdowns there, and spread out around, you know, sort of from the Middle East to sort of like Thailand and a couple places in between, and then also in South China, and a lot of them remained in China. So it's like this big DAO formed of like Chinese diaspora plus Chinese people who stayed there, and it's a fascinating story. Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. That's where Metaslavia comes in. But let's hold the horses. And decentralized China. Okay. Amazing. Hey, these cases are super cool. How would you like them to be seen, presented? Okay, maybe as someone who's like, let's say, in the publishing, let's say, world, what kind of light that you like to shine on these narratives? What has worked so far, and can you talk about your writing? Because it was very impressive for me. You held the space for us, but you also were writing.
Yeah. How do I want it to be presented?
Yeah.
You're saying like network state stuff. To me, if we were to try and boil it down to an essence, this would be imperfect, but techno-optimism is very important. Just this idea, and again, it's imperfect, but it's this idea that it's like we can embrace a technological future and it's going to enable a lot of really cool progress. Now, the thing about a network stater versus just a standard techno-optimist is a network stater is trying to direct that flow. They're not just, I think a techno optimist can be a passive stance, right? Just kind of like, oh, cool, man, like everything, rockets are being developed, and we're gonna, be living on Mars, and we'll be mining asteroids, we'll have free energy, and you can just sort of assume that everything will be amazing. I think if you're into the network state, it's kind of like, okay, technology provides an incredible amount of opportunity for us, but you have to get it right. There's a streak of like hard-nosed realism within the network state movement that I think is important, which is like history, like the way it shifts can go really badly too. And like keep that in mind, right? Like keep in mind the communist revolutions of the last century and all of the tens of millions of deaths that were caused by getting it wrong. Like communism was supposed to be an innovation that led to the end of disparity, and it just went completely psycho and led to a lot of death, right? So I warned you, like, this is kind of there's a dark streak in it, but it's like, okay, be very cognizant of where these changes might be leading. And you want to, so I think it is very based in, at least for me, it's traditional values of, I would say like capitalism, libertarianism is kind of a streak. It's not talked about really broadly, but like I think that's generally the streak, is like the free market will figure a lot of these things out as opposed to like centralized governance. And so I think those are the kind of important things, is just being positive about the future, but knowing that it has to be guided and it has to be based on principles and a sense of history. That is kind of a key way of doing it. And I like that it's kind of what I consider based, right? And so a corollary is the crypto ecosystem, right? And like within the crypto ecosystem, you have Bitcoin, which is, if you talk to Bitcoiners, like they feel like they're part of a 5,000 plus year monetary history, right? They're steeped in history, and they're all about the principles that allowed gold to become a global reserve currency. And